Thank you, Acting Speaker. I rise today to speak to the Retirement Villages Amendment Bill 2024. Now, as the member for Mildura and other speakers have raised, there have been quite a number of issues that have been raised by retirement village residents and their families and many others in our community for many years. So I think we can agree across the chamber that this is definitely an issue that we need to tackle and deal with. But there have also been many issues that have been raised by operators, consumers, residents and families about this bill itself. And despite the fact that this bill has been at least 6 years coming, it still seems to have been rushed in terms of many concerns not being addressed. And so for that reason, that is why I support the recent amendment being moved by our side that this bill be withdrawn and redrafted to address the concerns of residents and operators in the retirement village sector, because many of these concerns are not being addressed. Just going to my own family experience as well, my own grandmother was in a retirement village a number of years ago. It was a very good retirement village to start with, operated by a private operator that had basically 24/7 care with nurses and so forth for residents who needed it. Unfortunately, after a while of being in there, after a number of years, that service was changed to being 9 to 5 nurse care. So when my grandmother got very sick one year and she was in hospital, the hospital wouldn't release her to the retirement village unless there was that service available. This is before the days of increased numbers of home care packages, and if you're a family like ours who couldn't afford for a home service that is 24/7, it made a very difficult situation for my family where basically my grandmother was forced to go into a nursing home against what we wanted and against what she wanted as well, because she was very happy in that retirement village. That's where her friends were, where she had built community, where she had social contacts as well. So after being in a nursing home for a little while, I think that did exacerbate her health situation and probably led to her passing in 2015, probably a few years prior to the date she should have if she had been able to stay in the retirement village. But that actually goes to many things that have been raised in terms of concerns, not just concerns as to costs, but also concerns as to services and changes that a number of retirement village operators are making. Now, I note that there are many good retirement village operators, but there are also ones who sometimes put profit ahead of people. Now, just last week, I met with representatives from a local retirement village. I won't go into the name of that retirement village, but I have contacted the Minister regarding concerns that these residents raised in regards to conduct within this retirement village, but they did raise some general concerns relating to their situation as it relates to the bill as well. They raised issues and the need for retrospectivity for existing residents in relation to refurbishment as against renovations, and their concerns regarding having basically no say with respect to often very costly and sometimes unneeded renovations as against refurbishment. They also raised the need for retrospectivity and issues on the provision for dispute resolution, the timing of the exit fee, and the gap in getting paid. Residents had also met with the RRVV, who had also and have put together a paper as well outlining a number of concerns that they have, which include but are not limited to the bill's failure to extend the key financial protections like the deferred management fee reforms and refurbishment obligations to existing residents, leaving so many people at a financial disadvantage, or the extension of the refund period for exit entitlements from 6 months to 12, which could create undue hardship for departing residents, especially those moving into aged care, like with my grandmother. The lack of compulsory industry training for village management staff, combined with the absence of obligations to follow an industry code of conduct. The ability of some retirement village operators to apply for exemptions from parts of the legislative framework, reducing consumer protections for certain classes of villages, and the potential for delays in dispute resolution and how operators can just defer exit payments through VCAT applications. These are some examples that were brought to my attention, not just through the RRVV, but by these resident representatives of this local retirement village. But this is not the only retirement village where that concerns have been raised in my electorate and beyond with me. A number of other residents and their families have raised concerns with respect to other retirement village operators as well in my electorate and beyond. One I met with the other day, who travelled from Burwood East to come and meet with me in relation to my role as the Shadow Assistant Minister for housing and rental affordability, particularly as it also relates to housing generally. As we know, retirement villages are a form of housing. He came to meet with me and he's trying to raise his concerns with various ministers, from consumer affairs to housing and beyond, on both the government and the opposition side. He's a 94-year-old who travelled out of his way to come and see me regarding his experiences and concerns with retirement villages. He's a 94-year-old who is a retired engineer and so is very experienced. And I've written to the Minister about a number of his ideas, as well as the Shadow Minister as well. His argument is that operators have sometimes used ingoing contributions inappropriately, and as well as effectively interest-free capital loans inappropriately as well, allowing them to effectively own every single unit while charging massive rental prices. These type of arrangements include what he deems a deceptive split and deferred pricing models, which obscure actual costs and make rents appear much lower than they actually are. In fact, these initial rent costs for residents are 4 times the free market rate, he points out, and the contracts themselves are often highly complex and difficult for prospective residents to understand. Now, I note that it's always advisable for a lawyer to look over a contract, but if you are an older resident, particularly an older resident who is struggling socioeconomically, you may not have the resources to either get a lawyer or to get a good lawyer as well. And sometimes you rely on your own resources or the resources of your family to read and to understand contracts. And sometimes what is in contracts can be very hidden as well and can be very deceptive for residents. And sometimes things, as I mentioned, Acting Speaker, change over time as well. Sometimes the offerings that a retirement village give to begin with change over time, like what happened with my grandmother, from having 24/7 nursing care to 9 to 5 care, which can impact residents and their ability to stay in retirement villages and move back into retirement villages when they have health concerns. Now, going back to this 94-year-old who I met with the other day, he has been incredibly disappointed that the Victorian government has not addressed a number of his concerns that he's raised. He has raised concerns with the government, but he says that he's received an insufficient response from the government so far. I was able to meet with him, so I'm not sure why the government minister or others from the government minister's department or office cannot meet with him. But he argues that there has been no proper cost comparison between retirement village rental models, and also notes the financial impact of ingoing contributions and split-less contracts, and the obscurement of that, meaning innocent retirees, again, are not knowing what they're getting into or not knowing sufficiently enough. While these may or may not be reforms that I or the government agree with, he raised concerns about potentially re-looking at the ingoing contribution requirement. He talked about a comparison with the old strata title ownership for those who can afford it, meaning retirees actually own the property instead of being exploited with sometimes exorbitant rents. He also raised ideas about the conversion of existing contracts into fully disclosed standard residential tenancy agreements, prohibitions around split price contracts, and consideration of a municipal retirement village model where over 50s could pay an extra municipal rate to fund publicly managed retirement communities. Obviously, these are concerns that he raised. We may agree or disagree with these concerns, but there are a lot of concerns that have been raised by residents, consumers, families and operators that that do not seem to be addressed in this bill. So while this bill does go some of the way to resolving these issues, there's a lot more consultation that needs to be done. So I definitely support the Reason amendment. Thank you.